The knowledge that you as a leader are not there to make yourself indispensable. Your knowledge as a leader is to help get obstacles out of the way and to help people succeed without your presence. Because if you can do that, you as a leader turn yourself into a multiplier. And leader multipliers are absolutely what we need today.
Some experts chase attention, but the smart ones build authority. You're listening to the Authority on Demand podcast, where credibility becomes your competitive advantage. Every week, we're pulling back the curtain on how founders and leaders turn expertise into inbound demand through books that position, media that converse, and strategies that actually move the needle. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authority on Demand. Now, let's turn your authority into leverage. Okay, everybody. So what if I told you that 99% of your networking efforts are destined to fail, and that embracing this brutal truth could transform your entire approach to building meaningful connections? Today's guest discovered this through ruthless self-analysis, tracking many different LinkedIn connections to find that only some of them had real potential to impact your life. But instead of getting discouraged, Andrew Brummer used these stark statistics to revolutionize how he builds relationships that leads teams, and he wrote about it. So on our podcast today, we're going to be chatting with him and all about his writing strategies and his philosophies. So without further ado, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Hey, real quick before we jump back in, if you're loving what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We're bringing you the best authors, the most real conversations, and all the writing wisdom that you didn't know you needed. So stick around because it only gets better from here. All right, now let's get back to the conversation. Of course, this thing's going to be a really cool episode because first off, you have a ton of experience, a very remarkable story, and then, here you are now with your book out and you're changing lives. So, yeah, let's dive right in. Let's talk a little bit about yourself first. You told me that you actually have traveled a ton of different places, and in one point in March 2024, you had what you called a potential career crisis, where you may have said some bad words. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so good friends with the CEO of a company, and he came to me and said to me, "We're in a bit of a bind. As we all know, the economy's was in a bit of a hot spot in 24 timeframe, 23, 24. I did what most men do. Felt very sorry for myself. He said to me, "We're probably going to have to shut the company down if we don't find funding." I did what most men do, and I got into sulk mode. Felt terrible for myself, and the world is coming to an end. Woke up the next morning, and put the budget together. Looked at the family, said, "Right, let's pack any non-essential things and let's get moving." At that stage, toured and worked in 47 states. A lot of the country affected a lot of people, but I had neglected my Atlanta brand. So I probably knew 10 or 15 people in Atlanta, absolutely unknown, 53, no degree. And you kind of looked in the mirror and said, what on earth do I do with myself now? And got going, got working, made a couple of false starts, and then figured out how to use the tech.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how you kind of took one experience and it seems like you made the most of it. You did what you could to just put a positive spin on it. And, here you are now, and you've created Leading Magnanimously. I hope I said that correctly. Magnanimously?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, it's all about magnanimous leadership, creating teams where people are eager to work with you and stand by you through ups and downs. So what's that all about?
Absolutely. So Leading Magnanimously was the first book I wrote, but second I published. I wrote 2 books last year. Leading Magnanimously is about how you create a team or a tribe of people that go to sleep on a Sunday night, excited to and looking forward to be back in the office on Monday morning. And how do you create a team that operates without your presence, but you may as well be there because they're operating at such a uniform body. So I codified it into more of a very personalized operational storybook around how you lead teams and how you pull things together, how you create a power pack group of people that will function as if you're there while you're not there.
Understood. So, I mean, how do you even do that? I mean, I feel like it's, everyone goes on a Sunday and they're like, oh man, like Monday mornings, got to go to work. What's different about that approach that some people just don't do?
Yeah, so the elevator pitch on it is it's about helping it fall in love with itself. helping the team find one another, helping them make sure that they have safety and sanctity with one another, that they're looking after one another. They end up then guarding one another. They fall in love with one another in the appropriate ways. They get passionate with one another. They care about one another, become loyal toward one another. And then as the leader that's facilitating and creating that energy for them, or that space for them, I inherit that. And then the company benefits from that with me having a power pack operational team that is bar none, that can get things done. But the key is, we all have our own backstories of how we got to where we are today, the journey that we've lived that makes us who we are today. And it's about helping everybody understand that everyone is different and helping people find their individual journeys, their individual self-presentations today, and helping people just love one another as they are and support one another and focus on strengths rather than trying to man up or position up one another.
Understood. And I think that once people do understand that we all have common ground, that we need to support each other, I mean, I guess that's what leads into another big point of your book, the idea that, they should be able to keep the company functioning smoothly, even if the leader goes away for a vacation, right? So that's amazing. And it kind of goes against that indispensable leader mentality, which is really interesting, just kind of trying to create a world where the every employee is self-sufficient and happy. So first off, have you had experience with this type of thing? I'm assuming that you were able to cultivate that sort of thing in your past
Yeah,
experiences.
absolutely. So I challenged my team. The first time I went away, I kind of threw it out to them. I said, all right, people, I'm going away for 2 weeks in, it was probably 3 or 4 weeks' time, 5 weeks' time. And I said to them, let's get through any questions you have now, any thoughts, any concerns, any decision structures you have now that you are uncomfortable or you feel you need my presence in to make a decision. I have a basic philosophy that I'm here to support you and get things out of your way. I'm not here to do your work. My job as a leader is that of a multiplier. So my job and my safety in what I do is because I'm a multiplier and because I help people work autonomously and work without me. So that makes me very versatile in all the responsibility areas I can draw into myself, and just challenging the team and saying, right, let's see who, let's do the wooden spoon award for the person that needs to reach out to me. Now, people, in the first pass round, they did reach out to me. I think it was 2 or 3, and they were the right decisions to reach out to me because I had not given them the latitude, the insights, or the decision making to be able to make the decision. So they had the latitude, they knew how far they could, and where they were uncomfortable, they reached out to me. And that set me on a task the next 6 months to make sure they had the latitude so that they wouldn't call me on the next time I was out. And you just continue in that path. And it's the knowledge that you as a leader are not there to make yourself indispensable. Your knowledge as a leader is to help get obstacles out of the way and to help people succeed without your presence. Because if you can do that, you as a leader turn yourself into a multiplier. And leader multipliers are absolutely what we need today.
Understood. And it's clear you've definitely, run that by a bunch of people before because it's such a powerful statement. And I love the way you presented that too. But it makes sense. And that's exactly why I think a lot of people need this book. It's a way for people to kind of open their minds and see, okay, what needs to be done to get to that sort of utopia type of workplace, but it's a functional one that's you've seen yourself. Now, before we spend too much time on this book, you did mention that you had a couple others that you've been working on recently, and I actually just looked some up. You have one that released earlier this year, didn't you? The Supercharger Networking, huh?
And that's the journey. So I figured out how last year to use LinkedIn and technologies and automation. And I realized, we don't go to conferences, so networking and that is now out of the window courtesy COVID. We don't join conferences. They're relatively rare. Um, LinkedIn, I learned, is just an online conference, and it's up to you how you network, how you extend. In probably September, October of last year, I was training people on how I had managed to go from 1,000 LinkedIn connections to 7,000. And 7,000 is an irrelevant number. The important number is of that 7,000, there are 620 that know me. They know I'm writing a book, they're engaged with me, and I didn't know them 12 months ago, 14 months ago. I did not know them. There are 100 of those people who have done something that has changed my life, either introduced me to fractional forums, executive forums, drawn me into public speaking, drawn me into other executive groups. And there are 14 people that have changed my life in the last 18 months, more than nearly anyone in my past career. And the important note there is because of the deliberate way in which I reached out and started creating a network, I did not know these people 18 months. They didn't know me 18, nothing. I mean, as absolute strangers who in a very short period of time helped me make a difference. So in September, October, I was training people on how to do it. And then a number of them said to me, Andrew, you're giving your knowledge away. Why don't you just write the book? Just write a book. And that book was really easy to write just because it was more transactional, it was more operational of what I was training people, so I could reflect on the videos and the Zoom recordings and that of everything I'd done. So it was quite the easy book to write. I think I wrote it in something like 6 or 8 weeks. It was a very quick write because I had all of the content. I didn't have to research content. Everything was there. All the videos, the tools, the methods, everything was there. It was just putting it down in a consumable form.
Understood. So that's really cool then in terms of the writing process that it was already laid out for you. I think a lot of authors are probably jealous hearing about that. They like their work just, ready for the pickings. But I'm glad that it kind of worked out that way. And especially in a world now where everything's virtual, LinkedIn is becoming more important than ever. So this is a very relevant guide that you've developed.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm wondering if have you received any sort of like a, positive feedback or anything like that based on the book itself?
Oh yeah, tons. I mean, I give this book away. I've probably given more copies of the book away than it's sold, and everyone that I give it to refers somebody else to me to have a session. So it's been fantastic. You know what's really cool about it is my intent, both on my website and the books, is my intent is to pass knowledge. I'm gifted in dealing with people. I'm gifted helping draw the best out in people. I'm gifted in. I've got a quick efficiency mind, solutionist mind, so I can look at things and find answers or pathways through challenges very, very quickly. And when thrown with a lot of information, courtesy AI and the web and everything, it's really difficult to scan through and find what's relevant. And I'm a quick study, and my goal was in everything I'm doing is to not just pay it forward, but to pass it forward. So to take all the learnings I'm doing and to keep that current and to help other people who face a similar situation, all those people that are really wise that will get the You Decide book, and I wish I could give it away for free. In fact, it is available for free on ebook on my LinkedIn profile. It's for people to start at a very early age, whether you're out of university, 30, 40, 50 years old, wherever through that life cycle, don't get complacent. Networking is pivotal, absolutely pivotal in your move forward, especially with the advent of AI and how people are learning to get themselves moving forward. How you network, the people that know you, not just the people you know, but the people that know you is vital. Absolutely vital. And it has to be part of your day job, like brushing your teeth. You got to get out there and do it, because if you don't, it's not if you'll regret it, it's when you will regret it and you're facing an existential crisis and you don't know what to do.
Right, right. And it's funny because I think like a lot of people when they have their jobs and they're set in their roles, they might not think about their connections, or
Yeah.
what's going on LinkedIn, right? But it's something to be preemptive about, and clearly that's what your book's advocating for.
It's really simple. If you will have been there as well. There's a point in time at which your LinkedIn connections become a pack of business cards in your drawer. You don't actually contact them. You don't know them. They don't know you. And the key of the book is to say, just get out there, stay in touch with the people. It doesn't have to be all the whole network, but make sure that you're known. People know you, because that's the only way people are going to remember to talk about you when they're in the room and you are not.
Right, exactly. You gotta keep yourself fresh in their mind. Well, hey, now that we've chatted about a couple of your books, I think it's important for us to talk about some writing strategies too. You mentioned that, this most recent book, you had a lot of stuff kind of ready to go and to put into the book, but I'm sure there was more of a process to it than just plugging things together. I'm wondering if there was, any specific strategies that worked for you that maybe others can benefit from. What do you think?
So writing Leading Magnanimously was really tough. I am not I'm not a rule follower. My Colby is a 3395, which means I don't follow rules. I'm very fluid, very flexible, and I'm kind of all over the map. So Leading Magnanimously was a tough write. I think I restructured the book like 4 or 5 times. It was arduous. It was difficult. Um, so I took all of those lessons, and what I learned from Leading Magnanimously is the very first thing to do is get a table of contents together. I had a message I wanted to convey, and being a nonfiction, it was very easy for me to start at the beginning and end at the end. I kind of knew the journey I wanted to take people on at relatively macro level. I then took that table of contents and I blew it out a little bit to say, what are the points I want to speak to within each of the main segments of the book? I walked around with my phone, courtesy our digital tech now, and I just recorded myself audio the whole time. Whenever I was driving or en route, traveling, in the hotel by yourself, I was recording myself of what I meant in that topic. And then I had a lot of the Zoom recordings that I took as well. I took all of that, and I've got this just crazy inflection accent that the AIs and that don't really understand well. They don't do well with me, and they don't recognize me well. I get really frustrated with these like Siri and Alexa. And I just get really frustrated. And I found an AI tool that actually can find me, and I then transcribed all of my audio, the recordings, the Zooms, as well as the pieces that were missing, transcribed the text, and then I took that text and threw it into Claude. I used Claude to take my voice, and I said to Claude, this is the story I want. This is where I'm at, but it's 5, 10, 15 different parts of it. Please restructure this for me. Just reorganize this for me. And then it reorganized using my voice in my voice with my content, and then I detail edited it to make sure that the story came together. But I used the tools because I had so much content that was done already. I used the tools to help me synthesize, remove all the ands and the there's and the duplicate statements and the duplicate talk and all that sort of stuff, to get to a point that I had a relatively concise narrative that when I got into the detailed edits, it was all my thoughts were there, all my words were there, all the steps were there. It was so much easier for me than, instead of trying to sit behind the keyboard and type everything, just using the tools to take my voice and translate that into text that I could repurpose. It was great. It was fantastic.
Understood. Yeah, thank you for walking us through that. And I think it's cool you use all these different tools, like, the voice transcription and so on and so forth. You didn't just stick with one medium.
That's my solution. That's mine. I kind of look at things. I'm like, well, this is not efficient for me to do this. There's got to be a more efficient way for me to find to do it. So I walk through that. And I actually do training now on using tools for people that are interested on how to go from cradle to grave, on defining solutions. I haven't done it for writing a book. I haven't considered that, but it's the same. It's the same journey that you would go through in understanding these tools so you can use them efficiently.
Exactly. Well, yeah, thank you for walking us through that. I think that there's a lot to be learned from all these different methods. People pick and choose what's best for them, but at the end of the day, the more we hear about these things, the more they can try out new options. So that's perfect. So to kind of go a little bit deeper, then, you had the book out, right? But once it gets on the shelf, of course, you can't just leave it there, right? There has to be something that you do after the fact to really promote it and make sure people read it. So, what was that like for you? I'm just curious because you have all this experience, you wrote the books. How did they gain traction? What methods have you been using to make sure that people find the
So
message?
that is an ongoing lesson to learn.
Of course it is. Yeah, everyone has to find their own path in that too.
Yeah. And I didn't understand just how much work the act of writing the book is the easy part. The act of doing the audio recordings and re-recording and re-recording and revid, that's the easy part. Getting the book out there and getting adoption is phenomenally tough. So I went on an email campaign. I went on so the You Decide is self-published. The Leading Magnanimously, I went through a hybrid publisher. And both of them, the journey is the same. I've taken out multiple email campaigns, multiple LinkedIn campaigns, multiple X campaigns to get the book out there and to get the voice out there, to get it heard or seen or registered. What I've learned is that you must be diligent about making sure it's out there. I took a lot of recordings, put them through another tool called Opus Pro, which then stripped out. If you looked at my LinkedIn profile, there's a lot of reference to video on talking about the various topics, talking about the books, and just being on a campaign to create visibility. And I found the piece that's working the most is a combination between YouTube and LinkedIn. And surprisingly, if I get a view of a video or a commentary on LinkedIn, and I have about, I don't know, 100, 200 views on YouTube, that's up at 1,000, 2,000 views. So there's a big difference there, but it's been a tough journey. And I think the You Decide has been more word of mouth in terms of giving it away. The Leading Magnanimously, I got an email from Europe last night, where somehow my book ended up in Europe, a non-English country in Europe. And there's a book club there, and they found it, and they want me to join them as part of their book club review of the book. I don't know how that happened. So I don't understand how all of the social media and stuff is actually navigating itself out there. But
That
my
must be such
lesson,
an honor, though. You must be so proud.
yeah, I'm very, very, but the lesson learned out of that is when you go into this, make sure that you have a strategy, you actually have someone who's going to do it for you. Because it seems easy with all this tech and you're able to use it, but you got to have someone that's going to help you.
Understood. Right. Yeah. And that's what you have to do. You have to make sure that there's people on your side, that you have a
Yep.
team, kind of going back to the team mentality like we were talking about
I
before.
didn't, and I regret. I did not, and I do regret it.
Right. Well, hey, let's transition a little bit into kind of what you're going to be moving forward from this, because I know you have a lot more on your plate, more projects that you're undertaking. For example, you've been mentoring people from all over, from Iraq to Venezuela. So, how did this come to be, and how does this influence what you've been putting in the book?
So part of my rediscovery of self in March of 24 was I needed to figure out what my voice was, what I was good at, and volunteering just came naturally. So there are two websites that I got onto, and I got my profile out there, and I was blessed to support people from all over some of the countries mentioned, the country Georgia, Botswana, Nigeria, Iraq, UK, India, Australia, and all over the place. Been fantastic. What was amazing and what I in the coaching that I've done and the mentoring that I'm doing is whether you have a lady in Botswana or you have a gentleman in Iraq or a COO in the country Georgia, they're all facing the same business problems. It was fascinating to me to see just how common the commercial work business problems are. And when you get into the personal stuff, it's completely different. Just the cultural things step in the personal side. But it has been an absolute fascinating journey in giving time and knowledge and insights and helping people around the world and seeing how common the problems are. It's the same problems in all over the place.
That directly relates to what we were talking about in the beginning of this podcast too, the idea that everybody is where they're at for a reason. We've all been through different experiences. We're all experiencing similar problems, and in that way we're all unified. So it's
Yeah.
really cool to see that you've learned that through all different countries.
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating journey. Absolutely fascinating journey. Answering your question about around what's next, I am writing a fiction book. I had the fortune of having a car that I took to mechanic. It took me for a ride, and I'm busy codifying that into a book. I have all of the text, and I'm busy getting that all organized so that I can get the book done. And that one will be called "Hope is a Powerful Emotion." So that's the next book that I'll hopefully get out there.
Of course. Well, that's really exciting. Is there have you made any progress on that one yet, or is it still kind of
A
in the
lot of
works?
rough notes. Yeah, a lot of the text is created. I've written a lot, taken a lot, transposed a lot of it. I've got to I've got to structure everything now because it's a hell of a long story. I'm going to structure the whole thing and hopefully we'll get that out. My goal is to try and get it out at the beginning of the year, but we'll see.
Okay, well, we can be on the lookout for that then. We'll, stay up to date. Where's the best place for us to be in the loop then and to stay up to date? I'm guessing LinkedIn's one of them, but is there any other websites that we should be connecting
Yeah,
to?
so I think the easiest place is just go to andrewbrummer.com. That will redirect you to my website, or you can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay, well, there we go. We're going to put the links in the description box of this podcast today, everybody, so you can go over and click on it and stay up to date and get to know all of Andrew's books in addition to the very exciting one that hopefully is coming up pretty soon. We could, stay on the lookout for that.
Available on my LinkedIn profile. The ebooks are available for download for free. And I think I still have the audio download for free on my LinkedIn profile right now.
Oh, perfect. That's really exciting. So you can really just get immersed in it by heading to LinkedIn and getting connected. That's awesome. So guys, as soon as you're on the podcast, why not go over? Why not check it out? Why not learn some more? But yeah, as we begin to sort of wrap up today, then Andrew, I'm wondering if you have any other last bits of advice, maybe something that you wish you knew when you first got started in the writing world that others can benefit from. What do you think?
So two things. One, create your story, know what your story is you want to convey. And it just seems so obvious me saying it now, but just know your story and pencil out your table of contents, even the storyline. And it's so obvious now saying it. Just pencil it out so that you don't have to get yourself caught in a loop. And second is mindset. Everything we do, from when we get out of bed to how we feel in the day and how people are affecting us, everything is mindset. So get your mindset right. People around you, you allow people to influence you, influence your energy, your story, the message you're conveying. We allow people to influence us. It's we take a decision, and mindset is everything. Get your head in the right space. Know that you own yourself. You put your feet on the ground, and you decide to allow other people to influence you, but keep your head together.
Understood, right? So just keep your own mind on, don't let others change it, but maybe learn from them instead. I like that a lot. And you said there's two pieces of advice. Did I miss the other piece?
The table of contents. Just get your table of contents
Yes.
done. It's obvious now that I've been through it. It's just so bland. It's embarrassingly obvious. But anyway, lesson learned.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, and you need to, it's important for structure, and to also just have a clear path through the book. It's more important than you might think.
Yeah.
All that being said, then, I really appreciate you coming on, chatting a little bit about your books. Again, everybody, we're going to put links in the description box of this podcast today, so you can click over and get in the know and get connected. And other than that, Andrew, it's been quite the pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
So much. Wonderful meeting, and I appreciate the invitation to be on your podcast.
Yeah, of course. And to all of our listeners, we have a lot to learn here. Authors on Mission, we always talk about how it's more, writing a book is more than just writing. It's about making sure that the principles you're speaking of make the book worth writing. And clearly, Andrew has shown us that it's what it looks like to lead magnanimously in business and in life. So it's been great. And yeah, until next time, everybody, keep writing, keep leading, and keep serving with purpose. And we'll see you next time on the Authors on Mission podcast. Have a great day, everybody.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Authority on Demand podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a founder or a leader who's ready to stop being the best kept secret in their industry. If you want to turn your expertise into inbound demand, head to authorityondemand.com to see how we help clients go from unknown to in demand. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now, go build some authority.